We use estimation every day in our life. You go to the store to buy 3 gallons of milk that costs $2.79 each, and you know that the final cost will be a little less than $9. You need to buy new carpet for your living room, and the salesperson asks you about how many square feet the living room is, so an approximate cost can be determined. You need to know about how many storage boxes your local shelter can buy that cost $19 each, with a budget of $400. All these examples are real-life situations, and although we can find the exact answers to the questions, we oftentimes start by using estimation to quickly determine an answer in our head that makes sense. In this short video, I will discuss some rules that are generally used for estimating answers to mathematical questions. Before discussing those estimation rules, let me review some ideas of multiplying and dividing by multiples of 10, 100, 1000, etc. So I have the problem here, 3 times 4 is equal to 12. Using that fact that 3 times 4 is equal to 12, what is 30 times 4? Well, 30 times 4, I'm still just going to multiply the 3 times the 4 and get 12, and then since there is one 0, I'm going to add a 0 to my answer. If I wanted to know what is 300 times 4, I'm going to use that same fact again. 3 times 4 is equal to 12, but this time, because there are 2 zeros in one of the numbers, I'm going to add 2 zeros at the end of my answer. If I wanted to do 30 times 40, once again, 3 times 4 is equal to 12, and I have 2 zeros in the problem, which means I need to have 2 zeros in the answer. If I'm given 300 times 40, it's going to be exactly the same thing. 3 times 4 is equal to 12, and since I have 3 zeros altogether in the problem, I need 3 zeros in the answer. If I'm dividing by multiples of 10, 100, 1000, etc., I'm going to be putting the difference of the number of zeros in the problem. For instance, we know that 15 divided by 3 is equal to 5, so if I have 1500 divided by 30, I know 15 divided by 3 gives me that 5, and now we know that there's 2 zeros in the first number, there's 1 0 in the second number, so I'm just going to subtract the number of zeros. 2 subtract 1 gives me 1, so I need 1 0 in my answer. If I had 1500 divided by 300, I have 15 divided by 3 gives me 5. Since I have 2 zeros here and 2 zeros here, they cancel each other out. My answer is just 5. Given 15,000 divided by 30, I have 15 divided by 3 is equal to 5. And since there's 3 zeros in the first number and 1 0 in the second number, that must mean that I need 2 zeros in my answer. Before continuing on with estimation, these two ideas of multiplying and dividing with multiples of 10, 100, 1000, etc. do need to be second nature to you. And if you have any other questions about this, please feel free to get in contact with me. As I said a moment ago, the reason for using estimation is so that we can determine an approximate answer to a question quickly in our head, so we can use that information to make a decision about something. Let's say you are in a store buying tomato plants. According to the information in the store, each plant produces an average of 33 tomatoes. You have room in your garden for 48 tomato plants. About how many total tomatoes should you get from all the plants? There is no need here to know the exact answer, so I'm going to estimate the answer. If I wanted to find the exact answer, I would be going 33 multiplied by 48. But the estimated answer, I'm going to round 33 to 30. I'm going to round 48 to 50. And then I'm going to use the multiplication rule that I just talked about. 30 times 50, 3 times 5 is equal to 15. And since I have two zeros in the multiplication problem, I need two zeros in my answer, so the answer is about 1,500 tomato plants. Let me take a moment here and talk about what estimation is not. Estimation does not mean, first of all, finding the exact answer and then rounding off. For instance, if you were to find the exact answer to 33 times 48, you would get an answer of 1,584. I've had some people in the past do that, and then they take that answer and round it off to either the nearest 10, 100, 1,000, that sort of thing. If you do that, you might as well not even do the estimation, because then you already found the exact answer. Remember, estimation means being able to do something quickly in your head. If you do all the work to find the exact answer, you might as well not even do the estimated answer. Let's do a problem involving division. Joan wants to put carpeting down in her living room and figures she can spend about $2,000. The area of her living room is 192 square feet. About how much money can she spend per square foot? In order to find the exact answer for this problem, I would be dividing 2,000 divided by 192. But because I want to have an estimated answer, instead of 2,000 divided by 192, I'm going to round off that 192 to 200. Now, when I go through, the 2 divided by 2 gives me 1, and since I have 3 zeros in the first number and 2 zeros in the second number, I'm going to subtract 3 minus 2, and I get 10. So she can spend about $10 per square foot when she goes through to recarpet her living room. Notice that in this particular problem, I decided to round off 192 to the nearest 100, not to the nearest 10. If I had rounded off that 192 to 190, and if I had tried to divide 2,000 divided by 190 quickly in my head, that's not something that I would be able to do. So I am going to be rounding things off so that it is easy for me to do the estimation in my head. Now, some people may end up choosing to round off to something a little bit different than other people. Generally, my rule is to round off to the highest place value that you have, and I will talk about that next. If I wanted to find an estimated answer to 363 times 84, what should I round both of those numbers off to? Remember, I want to round them off to numbers so that I can quickly do the product in my head. So I would take 363 and round that off to the nearest 100, which would give me 400. I would take 84 and round that off to the nearest 10, which would give me 80. Then I can quickly in my head multiply those two. 4 times 8 is 32, and I need 3 zeros. I get an estimated answer of 32,000. Some people might take a look at that and say, well, 363 times 84, I want to round off the 363 to the nearest 10. If I do that, I get 360. If I kept the 84 rounded off to the nearest 10 and got 80, I could certainly do that. However, how quickly can you multiply 36 times 8 in your head would be the question. If you could multiply it quickly in your head and then add the 2 zeros, that would be great. But remember, the reason for estimating is so that you can do it quickly in your head, which is why I would choose to do it this particular way rather than this way. Generally, my rule is to round off the numbers to the highest place value that you are given, and that way you should be able to quickly get an answer to a multiplication problem. If you are multiplying two numbers together and one of them is a single digit number, for instance, if I had something like 89 times 9, I could just go through and keep that single digit the way it is. In order to estimate this, I would round 89 off to 90, but I can certainly do 90 times 9 in my head, with 9 times 9 being 81, and then adding the 0 to give me an answer of 810. There's no reason to round that off to 10, because it's very easy to keep it a 9 and still be able to do that problem in my head. Estimation with division sometimes does not work out quite as neatly as it does with multiplication. Let's say I was given this problem, 2,346 divided by 58, and I wanted to estimate the answer. If I rounded off the very first number that I have to the nearest thousand, because it goes out to thousands place, I would get 2,000. If I rounded off the second number, 58, to the nearest 10, because it goes out to tens place, I would get 60. But 2,000 divided by 60 is not something that's very easy to figure out. So I'm going to go back to what I started with. I started with 2,346 divided by 58. Well, that 58 is very close to 60. So I'm trying to think about, well, what number could I make that 2,346 so it would be compatible with that 60? Well, 2,346 is somewhat around 2,400. So in this particular case, I might try 2,400 divided by 60. I'm trying to find a number that's compatible with that 60, so that then I can divide 24 divided by 6 and get 4, and since I have 2 zeros in the first number and 1 zero in the second number, then I have 40 for an answer. So I know that 2,346 divided by 58 should give me an answer of somewhere around 40. Remember, there is no hard and fast rule for estimating with division. You just want to be able to change the numbers so that you can quickly do the problem in your head and come up with an answer that is just about the correct answer. Before going on to the second video in this module, where I will talk about the distributive property, I would like you to complete the quick check on this video, which can be found next. In it, you will find 5 quick problems that can be used to check your understanding. If you do well on the quick check, you may be ready to watch the next video. There is also a worksheet that you can do after completing the quick check if you want to continue to review. As always, if you have difficulty with anything, please let me know so I can help. Thank you.